Welcome back for episode 6. Today we're going to be talking about the route of therapy. This is a concept that I'm pretty familiar with since I did do therapy. Gannon did not. But we've kind of touched on little bits and pieces of what therapy is on our previous episodes. We just haven't dove into the true meaning of it. So I want to start off by just explaining kind of my side of my story with why I chose to do therapy. I've already kind of talked about what it's like a little bit, but the reason I chose to do therapy is because it got to that point. I think when it gets to that point, which you'll know, if you struggle with mental health, you'll know what point you're at. You'll be able to comprehend the fact that you're just not right anymore. And when you have no one there to kind of push you to do it, because it's a thing you have to do on your own. You can have your whole family pushing you to go to therapy. You can have friends pushing you to go to therapy, but until it's made up in your own individual mind, you're not going to go. You're not going to do it. You're not going to care to even try. So from my perspective, I'm more of a guy that takes initiative on things when something's not going right or when something's going great. I like to keep pushing it. And for me, that's what it was. Something was going terrible, my mental health. And finally realizing that it was going so bad that I took that initiative to be like, all right, what's next? What's next? Something's got to give. Something's got to be fixed in a way. So made the appointment with my doctor. That was simple. I'll show a little snippet of that in a video we found on YouTube real soon, but it's that simple. That's what people don't understand when it comes to therapy. It is that simple.
It's just one phone call.
One phone call away. A quick 3 to 5 minute conversation, if that, on simply asking, I'm not doing okay. Can I set up a meeting to come in and talk to a counselor? Counselor's he's not gonna tell you no. He's not gonna tell you no. He's not gonna judge you. He's not there to judge you. He's not there to make fun of you. That's their job. They're trained professionals to understand how the brain works, reacts, develops. That's what psychologists are. It's in a way. Is that the right word for that? Psychologist? That's the right word? Okay. Just want to make sure. I don't want to say
psychologist, yeah.
What's a psychiatric? Psychiatrist? Is that anything different?
Psychiatrist. Psychiatrist, one can prescribe medicine, one can't. I think it's psychiatrist.
Okay, well anyway.
The difference is one can and one can't prescribe medicine, that's all.
All right.
But they're both the same.
I didn't want to get the word wrong, but yeah, it's that simple, really, and people need to understand when you do it, it frees you. It frees you from the feelings that you leave in your head because there's no one to say them to other than yourself. So what it was like for me is over time, I would just keep thinking the same thoughts, and then when more thoughts compiled on top of those thoughts, it left my brain confused as all hell. And when you're confused as all hell, that's the struggle with your mental health. Your brain is constantly thinking nonstop. You can't shut it off. It's literally like, I don't know, I try to come up with these random things on the spot of what I compare it to. It's, your brain is almost like, what is it like, Bryce? That's a great question. I don't want to say something dumb, so we'll just forget I said anything. I'm going to show you guys that video now. Share screen.
Hi, I'd like to make an appointment.
Okay. Are you a new client?
Yes. I've never done this before.
Okay, that's not a problem. I'm glad you called. I have a cancellation on Monday at 3 p.m. Does that work for you?
Yes, that works for me.
Great. We'll see you then.
Wow, that was just like making an appointment at my doctor's office.
See? It's that simple. That quick. Even though that's kind of a fictional video and it's just some cartoon characters talking some stuff, but it's quite similar to that in a way. You literally do the same thing. call up the doc, puts you in, got an appointment. It's the same thing with the chiropractor, doctor. Same thing with ordering food. You got to go pick up food at a certain time. It's the same thing. That's what it is. There's a couple people I want to mention within this. Dak Prescott, Hayden Hurst, 2 NFL football players. Gannon's talked about Simone Biles already, so I want to talk on Dak Prescott and Hayden Hurst. I think those are 2 guys that are prime examples of understanding when they need to talk to someone. I mean, Dak Prescott did it in front of the world, so did Hayden Hurst. They opened up and were vulnerable to the entire world. Now we're sitting here, we're vulnerable to about 166 subscribers. Yeah, I torched that word. But 166 subscribers compared to the entire world, a lot different, a lot harder to do. So for them 2 professional athletes to come out and speak, they damn near did a whole therapy session by themselves with someone who was interviewing them, asking them questions. And they had to discuss their mental health. And that was therapy. In a way, they were able to talk about it. Instead of just doing it in a room where it's 2 people, they did it on live television. And Hayden Hurst actually started a foundation that works towards helping promote suicide prevention, helping promote better mental health. Dak Prescott was able to donate to that. They met up after a football game when the Cowboys beat the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, sir. Met up, talked to him. They got together. They both have struggled with their mental health, depression, and they talked to each other. That's therapy in itself too. 2 guys that connected over relating to the same thing, different situation, but the same struggle. And I think that's huge. They formed a bond and a connection through relating. And so now I want to ask you, Gannon, since you have an outside perspective, a perspective of never being to therapy, I want to ask you, what do you think it's like? Even though you've never been there, what would you expect walking into the door of a counselor?
I mean, honestly, like you said, I don't know specifically, but I think the first thing is knowing that it's time, actually acknowledging that it's time to get some outside help other than just people in your circle and people that you trust. And I think that's the biggest thing, is that vulnerability and that
uncomfortableness.
Yeah, uncomfortableness, outside your comfort zone, just letting somebody else know, make them aware of the situation, that somebody that you don't even know. And that's when you know that there's needs to be more work that needs to be done when it comes to getting medical help. And I think that's the best situation when it comes to therapy, which I know people have gone to, and I know a lot of people have done it, talked to doctors about it, with medications, that type of different type of things. And that's all for the right person, and it's all different experiences. But I've never had a person specifically told me who's gone that they, it was a negative and they came out worse than when they went in.
Yeah.
Some people
that's just simply not going to happen.
Yeah, and some people I know, it hasn't worked for them in the ways that they thought it might have.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't anything that hindered their process of making themselves better in the long run. And I think that's the cool thing about it.
Well, here's the thing, like you said, you've heard some people say, therapy's not for me. It didn't really help me. But here's the thing. All great things take time to happen. Now, you may go for one session and say, I hate this, and never want to go back. But it's similar to the fact that you may not like working out every day, but do you want your body to get in a bad position, a bad state of physical health? No, you keep going to work out. Can't say I've been in the gym a lot lately, but yeah, you get it's an example. But with your mental health, if you go see a therapist one time, you can't count on that one session to change everything. It's not going to change it. It may change nothing. More often than not, your first session with a counselor is simply him or her getting to know you, getting to know your background, who you are, obviously your name, age, the basic information about yourself. And then it develops over time. And it takes a route. It's almost like when you become an athlete, you got to build up to become the best version of that athlete you can be. When you go to therapy, you got to build up to become the best person you can be mentally, in a positive state of mind. So therapy is highly, highly touted, highly important. I highly recommend it. it's groundbreaking to people that actually take it seriously. You have to take it seriously if you want to do it. Don't go into it and just be that person that's like, I'm only doing this because people are telling me I got to. No. If people are telling you got to do it and you don't want to be there, then don't go. Don't go because it's not going to be effective in that way. You got to truly decide for yourself if you want it to be effective. If you want something to be effective, it's going to be effective. But trying to think anything else we could cover with this topic.
I mean, the biggest thing from building off of our last episode that we talked about was, reaching out to somebody.
Yeah.
Having that security net, security blanket. This is another form of that, but it also means that if it doesn't work for you, that you stop and just kind of give up and just kind of go with the flow. Then this is an alternative route that helps a lot of people, but it also doesn't mean that if it doesn't work for you, to stop reaching out and stop talking to people.
Yeah, if it doesn't
just
work,
because it doesn't work, that doesn't mean stop trying. I think that's the other big thing. When we said it's not for everybody and it might not work, that doesn't mean, well, screw it. Therapy didn't work, then it's a lost cause. There's no reason for that to happen because
find another way.
Because there's a lot of different ways that you can find your inner peace.
Inner peace, exactly. It takes time to get to that inner peace, and in order to get to that inner peace, you go to therapy one time and you're not about it.
No.
You got to find another way. Have therapy sessions with someone you trust. You don't have to necessarily go to a professional doctor. Obviously, that's what I highly recommend because they're trained to understand that stuff. But your friends can still help you. Your family can still help you. Also, I wanted to touch on one more thing with this. With therapy, a couple techniques I learned within therapy are pretty much when you're going throughout a day, slow your breath. Slow your life down. Life moves so fast. Allow yourself to just take deep breaths and live in that moment. That's the number one thing you talk about in therapy is understanding. You have to live in the moment. There's kind of this phrase that I've come up with in my head that I live by. It's reflect on the past, live in the present, and trust your future. That's something that I've kind of ingrained into my head ever since I went to counseling. Because your past, you can reflect on it, but you shouldn't live in it.
Mm-hmm.
Reflect on it, understand what's taking place. How can you get better
from
it? Exactly. How can you get better? How can you learn from it? Living in the moment, living in that present time is what's most important. If you're able to find that balance and live in that moment, that's what happiness is. Happiness is present time. Happiness is being able to see your friends, see your family, and do things because you're there. You're capable of being in the moment. And then trusting your future it kind of goes hand in hand with your experiences of the past and learning from that and living in the moment and working towards a better future. And through that work and that process, you're able to trust your future. You're able to trust and understand that what you've built in the present, what you've learned from the past will allow you to have a very successful future. And that's all related to therapy. That's what I learned in therapy. A couple other things I've learned is the count to 10 method, count back down to 1. If you're short of breath, you're having a panic attack, close your eyes, deep breaths, sip on water. Don't necessarily chug it, sip on water. Change your setting. Mentioned some of these in the past couple episodes, but I want to reiterate them. If you change your setting is very important too. Get out of a situation where you don't feel comfortable. And that's about it. The rest is really just you talking. That person's there to listen. Person's there to get to know you more. And they're not there to judge you. They're there to help you and promote you to a better understanding of what your mental health is and why it's very important. And that it did just that for me. So like I said, I highly recommend it. I think it could very well change your life. I hope this one video changes your life and allows you to take that vulnerable step to make that call. Make that call to your doctor and have a recommendation to what therapist you should go see. Just do it. I promise you it could change your life.
Don't hesitate.
Don't hesitate at all. You got a very good chance of either changing your life or pushing to save someone else's life. So this is our 6th episode. We got one more episode coming out. The 7th episode will drop tomorrow. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Reach out to your people, check on your people, and always make sure they're straight.